All right, so our first item is call to order and the accessibility statement. Charlie, I can't remember. Do you read this or do you want me to? It's up to you.
Usually the chair reads it.
All right, I'll read it. All right, so accessibility statement and Title VI non-discrimination statement. So this meeting is accessible to people with disabilities. Microphones or telephones will be used by all speakers. If you would like this accommodation, please contact Mary Waldron at 508-583-1833. And then also for non-discrimination, the notice of non-discrimination rights and protections to beneficiaries with regard to the federal Title VI non-discrimination protections and the state non-discrimination protections is included on this meeting's agenda and is available on the Old Colony Planning Council website at https://oldcolonyplanning.org. Please contact Mary Walden at 508-583-1833 for more information. And thank you. All right, so with that, we need to go around and do the roll call. So Charlie, you going to do that?
Yes.
All right.
Steve Wolfel, MassDOT.
Steve Wolfel, representing Secretary and CEO of MassDOT, Gina Fiandaca.
MassDOT Highway Division, Sean Handy.
Sean Handy, representing Highway Administrator Jonathan Gulliver.
City of Brockton, Jay DeGrace.
Yeah, Jay DeGrace representing Mayor Robert Sullivan in the city of Brockton.
Plymouth, James Downey.
Here.
Whitman, Daniel Salvucci.
Here.
Brockton Area Transit, Michael Lambert.
Glenn Geiler representing Michael Lambert.
Great, thank you. And Old Colony Planning Council, Council President Becky Coletta.
Present.
Thank you. Chair, we do have a quorum present.
All right, let's move to the next item agenda, which are public comments. Are there any members of the public who would like to address the MPO today? All right, seeing none. Glenn, do you think Michael would want to be here for the minutes, or you don't think that matters?
No, that's okay. Thank you.
All right, so we have, next item is the meeting minutes from April 18th. And can I get a motion a second, and then I'll open up for any questions or changes to the minute.
I'll make that motion, Dan from Whitman.
I'll second.
Becky.
I think Becky was first. We're back to one of these times. No, I'm just kidding. All right, so Charlie, I think it was Becky. So any changes or comments on the April 18th minutes? All right, seeing none. Charlie, you want to read the roll?
Yes, Steve Wolfel,
Yes.
Sean Handy,
Yes.
Jay DeGrasse,
Yes.
James Downey,
Yes.
Dan Salvucci,
Yes.
Glenn Geiler,
Yes.
Becky Coletta.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, with this, we're going to skip agenda item 4 for now, go to agenda item 5, which is updates from District 5. Is this you, Barbara?
It is. Good morning, everybody. Barbara LaChance, District 5 Planner. I'll give you updates on the regional projects this morning. Stoughton corridor improvements on 138, 300 feet north of Charles Ave to Lincoln Street. This is actually going to be phase 1. This project is on schedule for advertising this summer. We have changed the project limits due to some Article 97 impacts. So we are bringing phase 2 of the project, which will be from the Canton Town line down to Charles Ave. That'll be brought to pre-PRC actually tomorrow. So we'll have the second half of that project going out hopefully soon. Stoughton intersection improvements and related work, Central Street, Canton Street, and Tosca Drive. PSNE review was completed in April, and that project is on schedule for advertising in the fall. Brockton intersection improvements at Center Street and Plymouth Street. The 25% has been received and is currently under review. Next one we have is Brockton, Lyman Street, Grove Street, Summer Street, the replacement of the Grove Street Bridge. Currently, this is at 25%. The hydraulics and geotechnical reports were received in March and are currently under review. The revised 25% design submission is due June 1st. Eastern corridor improvements on 138, including 138 and Washington Street and Elm Street, is currently at 75%, with the 100% design submission due the end of May. Next one is Abington intersection improvements at Hancock Street and Chestnut Street is currently at 25%. We are awaiting the 75% design submission for this project, and we do need a new schedule. Kingston, Duxbury intersection improvements at Route 3 ramps and Route 3A is currently less than 25% stage, and we're waiting the 25% design submission. Next project is Hanson corridor improvements on Route 14 from the Pembroke Town Line, Indian Head Street, and this is reconstruction related work, I believe. Is currently at 25%, and we are waiting for the SUE to be scheduled for this project. Abington intersection improvements, Randolph Street at Richard A. Fitz Drive at Chestnut Street and Randolph Street is still at pre-25% design stage. The pre-scoping meeting was held last fall. And last two projects, we have a Hanover corridor improvements on 139 at Main Street, Center Street, and Silver Street is currently pre-25. Kickoff meeting is scheduled actually for this Friday, the 19th. Brockton intersection improvements at 123 Pearl Street and Stonehill Street is still in pre-25% design stage. The kickoff meeting for this project was held the 12th, which was, I believe, was last Friday. And that's it for regional updates. And I think that's it for my updates for today.
All right, anyone have any questions for Barbara?
No.
All right, thank you, Barbara.
Thank you, guys.
Is Michael here yet?
Yes.
All right, Michael, welcome. So we'll go back to agenda item 4, which is your update from BAT. Go ahead, Michael.
Thank you, Chair, and apologies to all for the delay. BAT has good news to report. Ridership continues to increase and set records post quarantine wise. We're about up to 76-77% of pre-COVID ridership and continuing on a positive trend. We were able to add service on our 10 and 11 routes and our number 9 route, which now serves Signature Health's one of Signature Health office areas that has received a lot more demand since the fire at Brockton Hospital. So that has been good to see. Our Rockland microtransit pilot service has been approximately doubling every 2 months. Still in the soft launch phase as we just implemented a new fare payment system for that. But with that in place, we should be ready to do a full launch shortly. Later on today, you'll be hearing about the proposed upcoming TIP, which provides, of course, a lot of important funding to BAT. Our program of projects focuses in 3 areas over those 4 years. First, and most notable is our transition to battery electric bus. We recently completed our transition report as required by the feds, and that shows that our routes and our system map and timing all support a transition to electric buses. So we're excited to see that starting to come to fruition. Second is our focusing on state of good repair, which BAT has always tried to do, set aside money for annual maintenance and upgrades to our buildings, buses, and facilities to ensure that we maintain both just the basic state of good repair, but also a comfortable and friendly environment for the customers. And then finally, basic customer amenity improvements throughout the system, whether that's shelters or other elements. We also are working closely with CPC on Title VI update and report, which you'll be hearing about as well. But that is out for public comment currently.
You good, Michael? Is that it?
I'm good. Thank you very much.
All right, anyone have any questions for Michael? I don't see any. Thank you, Michael. We'll move to agenda item 6, which is federal fiscal year 2023 2027 TIP Amendment 3. Bill, I believe this is you.
Yes, sir. Thank you. So as you recall, back in April at your meeting, we submitted for your review and release to public comment public review and comment period, an amendment to the FFY 2023 to 2027 tip. This amendment was necessary to accommodate and program a bipartisan infrastructure law discretionary grant that the city of Brockton had received for transportation technology upgrade to Warren Avenue in the downtown. Just want to go to the next page. This was the grant. It was just under $1.5 million for the city. This is exciting news. It's a great project for the city. As such, it did have to be programmed into the tip. The good news about this amendment is it does not affect existing funding for any other projects on the tip. It's just adding a new project. So the public review and comment period did conclude this past Friday. If I go to the next page, Sean. And this is just a summary of how the review and comment period went. We didn't receive any substantial comments on this. We did present to our board of directors on April 26th, and they approved this amendment as presented. And likewise, on May 4th, we presented to the Old Colony Joint Transportation Committee, and similarly, they approved as presented. So, pending any discussion or questions, I would ask this board to endorse this FFY 2023 to 2027 tip as amended with this amendment 3.
All right, can I get a motion in a second? Then I can open up to any questions that people have of Bill. Dan, I think you're on mute.
I'm Dan Salvucci from Whitman. I'll make that motion. Sorry.
No problem. Thanks, Dan. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, any questions for Bill? Seeing none, Charlie, you want to read the roll?
Steve Wolfle,
Yes.
Sean Handy,
Yes.
Jay DeGrasse,
Yes.
James Downey,
Yes.
Dan Salvucci,
Yes.
Mike Lambert,
Yes.
Becky Coletta. Thank you. Motion carries.
All right, we'll move to agenda item 7, which is the federal fiscal year 2024 to 2028 tip. And I'll turn it over to Bill.
Thank you again. So at the last meeting, we presented our draft FFY 2024 to 2028 tip and asked for this board to release to a public review and comment period, which it did. And just like the last item, this public review and comment period concluded this past Friday at 4 p.m. So on your screen, you can see the highlights of this tip. Overall, it's a great. I could just go back to this page for a second. Thank you. Overall, it's it's a great mix of projects. You have just over $173 million in this tip in roadway projects and bridge projects, and just shy of $42 million in transit projects. And as Mr. Lambert spoke of earlier, this includes the steps in moving towards electrified transit system, Brockton area transit. So that's awesome news for the region and the system, and leading to great reductions in greenhouse gases. So that's a very exciting feature of this tip. So thank you. Advance to the next page. Thank you. So I'll just quickly recap what's in this tip. So FFY 2024 in Brockton, we have intersection improvements at Center Street, Cary, Lyman Street. Also in Brockton, intersection improvements at Route 23 and Plymouth Street. In Plimpton, we have a bridge replacement, the Winnetoxet Road Bridge over the Winnetoxet River. In Stoughton, we have year 2 of the Route 138 project that is advanced constructed over 2 years, beginning this year. And so year 2 will be in 2024. In 2025, in Brockton, intersection improvements at Lyman Grove and Summer, including the Grove Street Bridge. Also in Easton, in Easton, we have corridor improvements on Route 138, which includes the reconstruction of Route 138 and Elm Street. In 2026, in Abington, we have intersection improvements at Hancock Street and Chestnut Street. In Avon, intersection improvements at Route 28, Spring and Harrison Boulevard. In Duxbury, signal installation at the Route 3 ramps at Route 3A. In 2027, in Abington, we have intersection improvements of Route 139, which is Randolph Street, at Chestnut Street and Old Randolph Street. In Hanson, we have corridor improvements on Route 14. In Duxbury, we have the first year of advanced constructed bridge replacement, Paddle Point Avenue over the over Duxbury Bay.
That's much too much. Wow.
In 2028, we have intersection improvements in Abington at Route 18 in Brockton, Route 18, Route 123. In Brockton, intersection improvements, Route 123 at Pearl Street and Stonehill Street. In Duxbury, we have year 2 of that Paddle Point Avenue bridge replacement. In Hanover, we have Route 139 corridor improvements at Main Street, Center Street, and Silver Street. In Kingston, we have a bridge replacement, Smith's Lane over Route 3. In Stoughton, we have intersection improvements at Canton Street, at School Street, and Summer Street. So that's it. That's the mix of projects that's in this tip. And if you go on to the next page, I'll summarize the comments we received. We received comments from MassDOT, Office of Transportation Planning. They provided a list of items to be addressed in the draft tip as it was presented. We noted these. We thanked MassDOT for their partnership, cooperation, and review, and we have addressed these items that they present that they submitted. We received a comment from Connor Reed in the town of Easton, that the town of Easton had reviewed the tip and approved it as presented. And they thanked all involved with advancing the Route 138 corridor project. And we noted their comments and thanked them. On April 26th, we presented to our board of directors. There was some discussion about the Paddle Point Avenue Bridge project. The funding for that, and if the funding for that is taking away from other projects in the tip, we explained that the bridge program is a separate program. It does not affect regional targets. So then the following discussion, the board of directors approved as presented. Next slide. Thank you. We presented to the Old Colony Joint Transportation Committee, and they voted to approve this tip as presented. We received a comment from Leah Filson. She's the executive director of C Plymouth, which is a economic development and tourism board for the town of Plymouth. She had commented that they would like to see funding for restoration of commuter rail service to the Plymouth commuter rail station. We responded that while the tip does not fund the commuter rail service, we noted her comments and reflected the importance of this service. And as it were, we are developing our long-range transportation plan, which we will present to this board later this summer for endorsement. And we assured her that restoration of service to the Plymouth station will be addressed in that long-range plan, and will also reflect the comments to the MBTA as they are seeking comments on their capital program currently. So we'll reflect those comments. And then last but not least, we received comments from Glenn Geiler, Brockton Area Transit, that they had reviewed the tip and approved as presented, and we noted that, and we thanked Brockton Area Transit for their great continued partnership and their review of the tip, and it was greatly appreciated. So these are the comments that we received. At this time, I would humbly ask this board to endorse this federal fiscal year 2024 to 2028 Old Colony Transportation Improvement Program as presented.
All right, can I get a motion in a second to endorse the 2024 to 2028 tip as detailed and presented here by Bill?
Okay, I'll make that motion, Dan from Whitman.
Is there a second?
Second,
I'll second.
I don't know who, was that Michael or was that, it was Michael, right?
yeah,
All right, any questions for Bill? All right, I don't see any questions, so Charlie, could you read the roll, please?
Steve Wolfle,
Yes.
Sean Handy,
Yes.
Jada Gross,
Yes.
James Downey.
Yes.
Now I saw Tracy Altridge from West Bridgewater on the call. Are you representing the Board of Selectmen today?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
I'm just listening in. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Dan Salvucci,
Yes.
Michael Lambert,
yes.
and Becky Coletta.
She muted.
We didn't hear you, Becky. I think you're muted.
Sorry, yes.
Thank you. Motion carries.
All right, thank you, Bill, for those two items. We'll move.
Thanks,
on
everyone.
to- Yep, sorry. Did someone say something? All right, so we'll move on to agenda item 8, which is the federal fiscal year 2024 UPWP. I believe this is you, Charlie.
Yes, thank you. So as we're progressing through our 3C document preparation cycle, here's the presentation from Bill on the Transportation Improvement Program, but also during this time of year, we developed a unified planning work program, which is essentially the scope of work and budget for the upcoming federal fiscal year. And that's the transportation planning work that we'll be taking on behalf of the MPO. So we've prepared a draft document, full document with budget and staff assignments within. So we have here a listing of the table of contents and the key elements within the document itself. So in the introduction section, we have, focus on the national planning factors, Title VI. We define where the funding sources are coming from. We also provide how this document might be amended and or adjusted throughout the federal fiscal year. And importantly, we do a look back on a geographic distribution of the discretionary projects programmed in the TIP. And what we also provide is a listing by community of where we've done traffic counts and also importantly, our local highway technical assistance studies. And then moving on from the introduction, we have 4 main task areas. The first being task 1000, that's management and support of the planning process and certification activities. And these are cyclical projects and programs that appear in every UPWP. And, this includes our operation of our public participation program and maintenance of our public participation plan and program. And it also includes the annual preparation and any amendments and adjustments to our transportation improvement program. And it also includes the operation of our Title VI and environmental justice program. Task 2 is our data reconnaissance, acquisition, and analysis activities task. And within here, we have subtasks such as demographic and land use surveillance, multimodal transportation system data surveillance. And this is our traffic counting program, turning movement counts, and also our drone program. Moving on, here's some other tasks such as system planning and resource. That's our computer and software support task. We have operation of our geographic information systems where we provide services to member communities and also GIS support to planning activities within the UPWP. And then rounding this out, one of the things we have is operation of our management systems program, and that includes 3 subsystems such as congestion, pavement, and safety. And then it also includes a travel demand forecasting task, and that's operated by Ko-Chung Lee. Next slide. Task 3000, that's our discretionary category, and that's the short and long range transportation planning activities. And within here, we have operation of our multimodal transportation systems and studies, and that's our essentially our bicycle and pedestrian, our active transportation planning activities. We have our local highway technical assistance program, and that's where member communities can send us requests for a study of an intersection or a corridor to look at a place to address potential safety issues or areas where it says, hey, we've been thinking about this. Do you have any ideas about what the potential for a heavy vehicle exclusion? So this is kind of our rapid response technical assistance element. And the next 3 tasks, the Route 3A and 53 corridor study in Kingston, Route 139 corridor study in Stoughton, and the Safe Streets for All action plan support. Those are 3 new projects for us coming this year, and these are discretionary in nature. The first being the Kingston project. That's where we're going to look at that corridor system in its totality in terms of volumes, pavement, drainage, land use inventory, and its interrelation with pending land use within the town. And importantly, one of the things is traffic coming into the community from adjoining communities to access destinations in Kingston, such as the commuter rail station and or Kingston Place. Second project, Route 139, that's going to start at Stoughton Square and travel northeasterly all the way over to the Randolph Town Line. So this is a neat corridor because it's multi-jurisdictional, such as Town of Stoughton, but there's a section that's under MassDOT jurisdiction, and it includes the interchange with Route 24. And here's the next project is something that I'm sure you all have heard about. That's the Safe Streets for All action plan task. And the bipartisan infrastructure law had this as a discretionary grant program where communities and MPOs could apply for an action planning grant to do a region-wide or a local action plan to address safety needs. And this would provide a platform for an entity to apply for an implementation grant down the road. So we're currently in the agreement development phase with Federal Highway. I'd like to give a shout out to Bill McNulty, who had actually developed the grant application for this and has been our staff lead on this project to date. And Bill's done a great job securing the grant award. So, and then last but not least, one of the hallmarks of the federal transportation law, whether it would be the BIL or previous FAST Act, is performance-based planning. So that's where we look at and examine different elements of the transportation system in terms of performance-based metrics. In task 4000, that's where we have our technical activities for transit planning. This is where we also have tasks for Brockton Area Transit, and we provide information on who is actually doing work on the UPWP, and then we have an estimated budget. So if you go to the next slide, this is a quick snapshot, and it's a little small on the screen, but this is a breakout of each task, and it presents the different funding sources. And I point out that there's funding from Federal Highway Administration, PL, planning dollars. There's funding sources from FTA Section 5303, and that's a blended contract. And we're thankful to MassDOT providing the match to the federal funds in this work program. And I note that the Safe Streets for All action plan support action plan is listed as a separate item, and that's separate federal funding. And thanks again to MassDOT for the state match. And a note that within the grant itself, it's in sum total, it's a $400,000 grant. And of that 400,000, 50,000 will be for OCPC, and we're looking to hire a consultant for this project. And in sum total, it's about the UPWP is about $1.3 million total for the year. And that's a quick overview. And what we're proposing is to have the MPO ask any questions, and upon a successful Q&A session, we would ask the MPO to consider releasing this document to a public review and comment period, after which at your next meeting, we'll come back and present the results of the public comment period and with a revised draft document, and then ask for potential MPO endorsement pending a successful review.
All right. Thanks, Charlie, for that. So can I get a motion and a second to release this for public review, and then I'll open it for questions?
I'll make a motion, Dan from Whitman.
Second.
Any questions for Charlie? I don't see any questions.
No.
All right. Charlie, you want to read the roll, please?
Yes, Steve Wolfel,
Yes.
Sean Handy,
Yes.
Jay DeGrasse,
Yes.
James Downey,
Yes.
Dan Salvucci,
Yes. Good
Mike
job.
Lambert,
Yes.
and Becky Coletta.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries.
All right. Thank you, Charlie. We'll move on to agenda item 9, which is administrative business and date and time of next meeting. So Charlie, I think this is you.
Yes, just a couple of quick items to spotlight. The first being USDOT's holding a webinar on identifying discretionary grant opportunities, and this will be on May 22nd from 4 to 5 p.m. Next. And one of the things, MassDOT, well, recently there was an act passed by the legislature and signed by the governor, an act to reduce fatalities. And this is addressing vulnerable road users. And part of this is MassDOT is providing safe passage for bicycle signage to municipalities. This is a program where communities can apply. It's a quick application, and we thought this was a really nice quick implementation from that Vulnerable Road Users Act. Bill McNulty provided this out to our JTC contact list, and last week I provided it to the highway departments and the DPWs of the region as
Good.
well. So this is a great opportunity for communities to get some signs and help build a safer network. Next slide. There's an example of some of the signs. And there is a timeline for responding to this. It's June 1st. And next we have, we're asking the MPO members to please save the date of June 20th, 2023 at 10 a.m. for your next MPO meeting. And that concludes our business for today.
So just for that, there was also the July 18th. So obviously
Yep.
next month we'll take up the UPWP, and I assume Charlie will be doing the long range plan at the July meeting, I would guess, or something like that.
Yeah, I believe our schedule is to release the long range plan to a public review in the June meeting.
Oh, okay. All
And
right.
if not in June, we'll release in July. But actually, thanks for the, you just reminded me too, one of the items on the June 20th meeting will be a visit from our federal partners as we're undergoing a federal transportation and planning certification review, and they would like to hear from MPO members and meeting participants on how the MPO is doing. So
I think the main point here is the next two meetings are pretty critical: the certification, this UPWP, and this long range plan. So try to make sure you can make those meetings so we have quorums to close out a lot of this before the
Yep.
summer we get too far in the summer. So Can we move to the last agenda, item, which was just a motion, a second to adjourn?
I'll make a motion, I guess. Yeah, to adjourn.
Is there a
Second.
All right, all in favor of adjourning, please say aye.
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 All right, thanks, everybody. Stay safe. Enjoy the good weather. Try to avoid any too much seasonal allergies, as I joked.
Oh,
about.
allergies are killing me.
Brutal. And as I said, try to make sure we can make these next two meetings. We have a lot of business over the next 2 months, and then things will slow down a little bit, I would assume. So thanks, everybody. Be safe.
All right.
See you soon.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thanks,
Thank you.
everyone.
Bye.
Thanks, John.